For 13 long, tough years in Makkah, the very first Muslims were up against some serious hostility. But here's the twist. Their main instruction wasn't to fight back. It was to wait. Now, this wasn't just passive sit-on-your-hands waiting. Oh no. This was a deliberate, intense, and absolutely foundational period of training. So let's dive into this and really unpack the profound wisdom behind this strategy of patience.
I mean, just try to put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're a new believer, full of passion, and you're being persecuted. People like Abdurrahman ibn Auf were actually coming to the Prophet, and they were saying, look, we had honor when we were polytheists, but now as Muslims, we're being humiliated. Let us fight. But the Prophet's answer was this direct, almost counterintuitive command. It was a clear order to intentionally relax that clenched fist and keep the sword in its sheath.
So you have to ask, right? Why? When you're facing physical harm and oppression, why would the very first, most important lesson be one of restraint? Well, the answer reveals this incredible, multi-layered strategy that was about so much more than just survival. It was about building something that was truly meant to last.
Okay, so let's peel back the first layer of this strategy, the immediate, super practical wisdom of just holding the fabric of society together. And this wasn't about some abstract ideal. It was about the reality of what was happening on the ground in Makkah.
Now, here's something you've really got to understand to get the full picture. The battle lines, they weren't drawn between different cities or even different neighborhoods. The division was inside the home. You had a newly converted son living right under the roof of his polytheist father. You had a believing wife sharing a home with her disbelieving husband.
And you have to remember, in the tribal structure of Makkah, authority was personal. It was immediate. It was very often a father, an uncle, or a clan leader who was the one directly punishing the new Muslims within their very own family. So, to fight back would have meant, quite literally, taking up a sword against your own brother or your own father.
And that's the crucial point. This command for patience was an absolutely brilliant strategic move to prevent society from completely tearing itself apart at the seams. It stopped the conflict from turning into this intimate civil war, fought at every dinner table and in every single courtyard. It kept the door open for future reconciliation.
But this whole strategy wasn't just about avoiding conflict on the outside. While the Muslims were showing all this patience outwardly, they were involved in this intense internal program to build strength from within. And this was known as the School of the Night. This was one of the earliest revelations to come down. It was a divine instruction for the Prophet and his small band of followers to get up and dedicate a huge part of their night to prayer. This became the central pillar of their training. You could call it their spiritual gym. And let's be really clear here, the goal wasn't just to make them tired. That would be pointless. This was a highly sophisticated spiritual regimen, and it was designed for a very specific purpose. It was all about forging individuals who could withstand the immense pressures they were already facing, and, even more importantly, the even greater responsibilities that were yet to come. And this just lays out the goals so brilliantly. Think about the progression. First, you learn to give up the simple, basic comfort of your own bed. That's step one. Then, by doing that, you learn to resist and overcome your own internal desires for ease and for rest. And it's through that discipline that you become someone who is truly prepared to carry a message that would literally change the world. It's this beautiful process of building resilience from the inside out. So what happens when a group of people go through this kind of intense internal training together? Well, they start to form a completely new kind of community, one that's built on a foundation that just completely shattered the old social order of Makkah. You see, the old Makkah was all about your last name. It was about how much money you had, who you knew. It was a rigid, unbending hierarchy. But this new brotherhood, wow, it was revolutionary. A former slave could be more honored than the wealthiest nobleman, because in this new community, the only currency that mattered was your relationship with God and your character. And this whole new value system was cemented by a powerful, very public lesson. Picture the scene. The Prophet is talking with some of the most powerful, most influential nobles of the Quraish tribe. He's hoping he can sway them, you know? And right at that moment, a poor blind man named Ibn Maktoum comes up to him, just sincerely seeking guidance. And in that moment of intense focus on these powerful nobles, the Prophet turned away from the blind man. And immediately, right then and there, a divine revelation came down, publicly correcting this action. It was a gentle but very firm reminder, not just for the Prophet, but a lesson for all of us, for all time. The message was crystal clear, and it would define this community forever. A sincere, humble seeker of truth, no matter what their social standing is more valuable and more worthy of your attention than an arrogant, powerful person who couldn't care less. Spiritual sincerity outweighs worldly status, every single time. Okay, so we've got social preservation, intense spiritual training, and a new brotherhood built on piety, not status. So, what was this all for? What was the end game? Let's bring it all together and look at the ultimate purpose of this entire 13-year Makkan phase. This verse, which was revealed in the very same chapter that commands the night prayer, points to the ultimate goal, the weighty word. That's the Quran itself, with all of its teachings, its laws, its obligations, its guidance for all of mankind. That is a profound responsibility. And this, right here, is the key. You cannot place a weighty word on a weak foundation. It would just collapse. The entire 13 years of patience and prayer and community building in Mecca, all of it was about cultivating a generation with roots that were deep enough and strong enough to bear that weight and then carry it to the rest of the world.
So really, when you sum it all up, the Makkan phase was the essential school. The curriculum was patience when things got tough, building a real personal relationship with the divine through worship, and nurturing these deep roots of faith and brotherhood. It was the training ground that prepared them for everything that came next.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? When you look at this historical example, it kind of forces us to ask ourselves, in our own lives, or in our communities, or any project we're trying to build, what are the essential foundations that have to be built slowly, patiently, and deliberately before any great, lasting change can ever hope to take root and truly flourish?